every day in the afternoon. So please come to all the sessions so that you can make the most out of this workshop and session. It is now my great pleasure to welcome Ashley Arenz-Viquez and Nadia Sanabria Al-Qassem to do this workshop. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to wait for our slides to come up. We're very slide focused. We're very slide focused. This is an interactive workshop, it's an FYI, so if you want to use your laptop, feel free to take it out. If you want to use your device, feel free to do that. We are giving you digital resources, so be prepared that you will need access to a device somehow to get the information. If you need us to email it to you after the workshop, we can do that as well.
How many of y'all have a social innovation or some sort of an idea that may help improve your community or the world? Any kind of idea? Any sort? Yeah, so everyone's hand should be up because everyone here will leave this workshop with the tools to be a social innovator and actually learn how to implement these skills in real life.
And if you don't have an idea, don't worry, by the end of this week, you will have something in mind. You will also be given time to work on your idea as we're going through the workshop. So each day that we present, we'll give you a practice with us, and then you'll have your independent practice as well, and you can ask us questions, and we'll help and guide you. We also have a few surprises toward the end, so that way you guys can complete and successfully plan out your idea and implement it in your local community. While we're trying to get that up and going, I'm going to introduce a little bit about us. We work at the University of San Diego, but we're actually part of a nonprofit called the Jacobs Institute for Innovation in Education. We focus on different programs that support K-12 education, higher ed research. So Pactful, which is what we're introducing today, it's just one of the very many workshops that we present. Everything is free of charge to everybody because we have amazing sponsors and sponsors. And our Pactful workshop is actually virtual. We work around the world. We work globally. So we actually had about 38 countries participating already in different parts of our workshop and different things that we do. So if you need to reach us out and say, hey, can you be up at 5 o'clock in the morning San Diego time? No problem, we've done that before. So just an FYI that we do communicate globally with everybody.
Yeah, we were just having a wonderful conversation that while our curriculum and all of our research
4 days. All right. Well, Ashley's passing those out. Yep. Yeah, ready?
Next one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Thank you. Okay. So, for the understand phase, I'm gonna let I'm a teacher, this is where I start. Okay, but you are more than welcome when you're doing your practice component, you can start wherever you feel comfortable. Okay, so in the research, if you can click the next slide for me, please. Okay. In the research, we are going to begin by working on assumptions. So, if you don't mind opening your digital journals, there should be a place there under the Understand tab. You'll see the links with like a little tea leaves, and you'll be in activity 1 called Undercover Assumptions. And there's already a T chart for you. So what you're doing right now is you already divided yourselves into the illnesses that you're focusing on. And independently, you don't need to talk to anybody yet. You are working on what do you know about this illness already. And then the second column is what do you still need to know about it. And I know this seems kind of silly, but the more you sit down and really think, what do you really know about arthritis? What do you really know about tension headaches? The more you question what you know, the more questions you're going to have of what you're still missing. So I am going to give you 3 minutes right now to work on that independently, and I am going to time you. So just think, if you are in the cold, what do you know about the common cold? Flu, what do you know about the common flu? Tension headaches, what do you know about it? And finally, arthritis, what do you know about it? And if you're done with what you know about it, what do you still need to know about it? What questions do you still have left to do? I'll give you 3 minutes, and I'll let you get started, and I'll walk around the room if you have any questions for me.
Anyone else not receive a dot? Anyone without any ailments? If you don't have any ailments, I'm jealous.
We have about a minute left.
Ready to innovate?
Right there. Perfect, just right there. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you everybody for being such troopers on this and taking this seriously. It is a lot of fun when you really get into it. It is a little bit of a struggle at the beginning. Nobody likes to do research apparently, except unless you're a researcher like me who just really enjoys it. I know Ashley, this is not her favorite part.
It's not my favorite part, but
I love research. Okay. We're gonna move to the next step. So I hope you have that digital book open because I have all the links in there to make this a lot easier for you. Okay. If you don't, we'll put it back on the digital workbook in a little bit. So the next step is now that you have built your assumptions, you have a list of questions. You have a list of what you think you know, or what you heard your parents tell you. Because normally, my mom always tells me, "Oh, you get a cold because you got wet hair." That's not why I get a cold, but that's a common thing, right? So it's something that I assume is correct. So now you're really going to dive deep into the research. So I gave you 3 links that you'll see in your journal, because I don't know if you can see them all the way up here. But I gave you the NHS Inform, the Mayo Clinic, and the Cleveland Clinic. And you should be able just to click on them and they will automatically take you to those links. And you can just enter the illness that you have: cold, flu, tension headaches, arthritis, and it will give you information. You don't have to click on all of them. But when you're doing research, it is a good thing to have at least 3 different resources that you can reference when you're doing your research component. So I gave you 3. I also gave you these specific ones because at least one of them I know it's international. The other 2 are just known here, so that's why I kind of focused on those. But the nice thing about them is that they're very easy to access just with your illness that you have, so you don't have to go through a lot of reading. You can really focus on just the illness. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes now to read through it, do your research. You're going to use the questions that you created for your assumptions, the ones that you're still searching, and those are going to be your focus. In your Pactful Navigator, there is space there for you to write notes. So go ahead and write your notes because you're going to need those. So I'm going to start the timer. You're going to have 5 minutes.
The group that is working with arthritis is on the direct other side of the conference room, so those will be your teammates, like on the other side of the and I'm sorry to report. I'm gonna go. If you are just joining us online, we are currently doing research about a ailment, whether that be a cold, a flu, a tension headache, or arthritis. You have less than a minute left.
get your attention again? Thank you so much. I don't think you thought you were going to be doing a lot of research today, right? On common illnesses. It's okay if you don't finish. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Remember, it's a 4-day workshop. We don't expect you to finish everything today. We just want you to start getting the feel of the steps and what the process looks like as you're going through the design thinking process. This is probably one of your most crucial because this is where it's starting you off, it's launching you off. That's why addressing those assumptions that you have is important early on, so you don't build on them throughout your prototype and throughout your ideation phase. So that's why I like addressing it first. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next portion. If I can get next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide is empathize. And an empathize is when you're building a connection with somebody that's struggling or with somebody that's an expert in the field. So if you, for example, have the flu, you might want to be talking to a medical doctor or a local chemist or local pharmacist, and who can help you get better, right? Or who can give you ideas on how to get better. If you've never had the cold or never had the flu before, you might want to be talking to somebody who has had it to get ideas on how you can help them feel better. You might also want to talk to family members that have helped others, especially like in arthritis. They count on family members to help them open up jars, open up boxes, or things of that nature. So maybe talking to them might get you better ideas on how to build a prototype that will really support them. So that's the second part. You're also collecting data. These interviews are part of the data collection. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a medical doctor right now available to you to ask questions in all these 4 categories. Unless we have enough people to go around. We don't have enough people who have a flu, cold, tension headaches, or arthritis to actually interview. So we're going to use AI to do an interview. Now I want you guys to be very careful when you're using AI. How many of you have used an AI component? Okay, all right. So if you haven't, or it's your first time, or you're still playing with it, one of the things that we do is we use AI to amplify our imagination. That's how me and Ashley use it in the office. It's kind of like our second thinking buddy that we just bounce ideas with. So we don't really use everything it produces verbatim. We make sure that we address any hallucinations that it may have, which means any data or information that is not correct, we address it. That's what a hallucination means. And we address that as we're creating products or going through our thought process. AI works as a great way to address your questions or to start your questionnaire. It can be very helpful in finalizing the questions that you're going to ask an actual human being. But you want to get a head start with something to guide you first before you actually present those questions. So we decided to use AI. In your journal, if you open it, I gave you links to different AIs. You feel free to use whichever one makes you better, whichever one you prefer. I know I'm a Gemini person now. I used to be a cloud person, but I'm very much a Gemini. I know Ashley prefers ChatGPT. There's Manu, there is DeepSeek. So whichever one you prefer, you can use. Also be aware that some of them work in certain countries, others don't work in those certain countries. So I also wanted you to be aware of that. And finally, when you are adding components into AI, when you are adding that prompt, you need to be very specific of the culture and the region that you are addressing it with, right? So in our case, Gemini, act like you have a common cold and you live in Saudi Arabia. Now I'm going to ask you questions. And we gave you the prompts in your journal, so you can just copy paste them, telling you exactly where you just need to change the little wordings, whether it's the illness or the region. And I gave you prompts, if you look at that, for 2 different interviewees. As a patient who has the illness and as a medical expert who knows and cures the illness. Because those are two different types of questions, so therefore AI has to act differently. Okay? So all you need to do right now is open your favorite AI, copy paste the prompt that I gave you, and then start asking your questions that you would have pre-written. I also gave you a list of some pre-written questions there if you look at your journal. So feel free to use those, feel free to add more questions. I know this group over here came up with a question of what is the difference between the cold and the flu? It sounds the same, they act the same. If you didn't see it in your research, this might be a time you might want to address it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes in this, since I know you're opening 2 devices or 2 programs. Okay, and I'll start the timer.
I see a few new people entered the room. Would you like to participate in this workshop as we're doing it, or what do you think? No takers? No problem. If you are joining us live online, we are currently using AI as an interviewee for someone who may have contracted a disease such as the common cold, the flu, a tension headache, or arthritis. I guess those are more ailments than diseases.
Yes, right, illnesses. You have a little bit over a minute. Okay. I can get your attention again. And don't worry if you didn't finish, it's okay. I get the next slide, please? So the last part in the understand phase, now that you've had, one more, please. Thank you. Okay, so now that you've done research, you've interviewed, or attempted to interview, and then finally, you have all this information, and now it's time to organize it and put it in threads. This just gives you clarity to what you have collected, and that way you can start really identifying what are needs, what are causes, what are items that you still need maybe more research on, or maybe this is where you start coming up with follow-up questions that you might need to ask again to empathize. Okay? Those 3 steps concludes phase 1 of the design thinking process. You can take a deep breath now. And release. Everybody made it? It's not that bad, right? Just a little bit, just a little bit. We can go to the next slide. Now, I know I'm running out of time, so I don't have a lot of time to give you to work on your process right now. But tomorrow, phase 2 is actually so much shorter that you will have more time to work on phase 1 and phase 2. So don't stress out about it. You have us all week. You can ask us all the questions that you like. We can go one more slide as well. We actually have a Padlet. I call this a parking lot, which means if you have any questions between now and tonight, post them on that parking lot, and we are going to answer them throughout this week. So any questions that you have regarding the process, any questions that you might have regarding your project, any questions regarding the T activity or your illness that is assigned to you, you can go ahead and ask. It's gonna be open throughout the week. We're gonna have a different parking lot every single day. So I just wanna make sure that you are able to access it. Type in your question. If you see your question already written in the parking lot, don't type it again, just give it a thumbs up. And I know the more thumbs up, the more I have to address that one question, okay? But the rest of the next 5 minutes are yours. So you can start thinking about what SDG you wanna address, what community problem you might or think about organizing. And if you notice in your journal, if you click under the understand phase, a bunch of tabs are gonna open. The first ones have the little leaves for the T, but the next ones have a pencil. That is your time to just go back and now write your stuff for your project. So I'm giving you the space. I'm re-asking you the same questions that I asked you today for the T activity, but for your project now. I also gave you another tab where you can just write notes if you're just more of a note taker kind of person and you just want to write for the sake of writing. But again, I know I have like about 5 minutes or less in my presentation, so the rest of the floor is yours. Feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to work on your project. We appreciate you, and I hope to see you tomorrow on phase 2 for the ideate.
Thank you so much for an incredible first day of the workshop. That is, again, Pactful's change-making workshop focused on design thinking from problem to prototype. So we'll be looking forward to days 2, 3, and 4 for everyone to continue working on their projects and ideas. As you can see, we are now setting up for our final panel of the day. This panel is hosted in collaboration with MGCY, the Major Group for Children and Youth. titled The Road to 2028, a youth stop take for the Pact of the Future, Pact for the Future, excuse me. We will be having the speakers beginning very shortly, but before I begin the session, I just want to give a few announcements. So today we need to be completely out of the building after this panel takes place. They have to close down and clean before tomorrow, and we want to be respectful of the organizers and the Salvation Army who is allowing us to be in this space. So please clean up any trash around you, and if you need to use the restroom, get your belongings together, anything, please do so before this panel begins so that we can be out of the building immediately after. Additionally, some of you may have seen that there is a sign now on the breakfast room downstairs that just says IOSC team members only. We have closed that room down for today, again, for cleaning, so that everything can be nice and prepared before tomorrow. So in a few brief minutes, we will be beginning our panel hosted by MPCY, and we look forward to seeing you there. So thank you, and everyone stay seated as we'll be beginning very soon.